first time I went there, I felt, well, sort of queer. What was I doing there? I was planning on college, if my grades were good enough for deferment. So what was I doing here? Then, looking around, I began to figure it out. I was there because we live in a pretty shaky world, full of struggle and strife. Because our country is building a great military force to be ready for any world flare-up, and in the hope that we might prevent it. Because we have to hurry to build that force. Minutemen of today, that's what we're after. That's where I come in, and you too. We're in line for the job of Minutemen, and this place, your local board office, is the clearinghouse for finding those Minutemen. Yes, I had the big picture in mind. I knew why we were training men for service. But why me? Why did my life have to be upset? You've asked yourself that. Why you? Well, I thought of who could be called for service. Older men? Men like our fathers, for example. No, even if they're in good health, they're just too old for rigorous service. Well then, someone younger. How about our big brothers? But they've already had their turn in service. Besides, if they were called back, what would become of their families? And that isn't all. Just how young is a guy like this? Suppose there's a world flare-up 5 years from now, or maybe 10 years. Will guys like this be young enough then? No, they shouldn't be called back in. Not unless things are really desperate. That's the way I figured it. You and I and all the other guys our age. We're the candidates. But that isn't the whole story. Not by a long shot. I overheard something just then that set me to thinking deeper.
There must be some mistake. I thought I'd be deferred.
That's what he said. Deferred. What happens? Who gets deferments and why? Well, I remembered a little incident that got under my skin.
Hey, Howard! How are you?
Well, Fred, my golly. Say, I thought you were drafted.
Yeah, they thought they had me too, but, well, here I am.
Oh, how come?
Oh, you just have to know how to pull strings, my boy.
That's enough to make anybody wonder. Pull strings? Could somebody do that and leave me holding the bag? Bet you've wondered that too. Bet you've wondered what goes on back there, where the local board meets. Well, right now there isn't anybody back there. Because the members of the board have to earn a living. They'll be here tonight. They'll be giving their time. Yes, giving it. They're volunteer citizens.
I don't think the certificate meets the actual regulations. We'd better let the fellows down at the induction center decide on this one.
Agreed?
Right.
All right. The next is a Harold Boyce. He asks that we reconsider his classification on grounds of dependency.
Does he want a personal appearance with the draft board?
Yes. Matter of fact, he's here tonight. Shall we see him now?
Yeah.
That's what they talk about. About you and me. And how to fill their quota of men. And still be fair to everybody.
Boyce, I'm Mr. Smith.
And they are fair, too. There's no politics back here. Sure, they grant some deferments and exemptions, but only for good reasons, and only within the limits of the Selective Service Act. Remember Fred? He's still home. I found out the real reason, though. Bad heart. Funny thing how some fellows will make you mad with a tall story, when the truth would just make you feel sorry for them. I know some other guys who've been deferred. Bruce has to support his mother and kid sister. He works like a dog. Don't try to tell him he got off easy. Walter's staying on his job. His factory has some important defense orders. But don't worry. The local board hasn't forgotten him. While he's needed here he'll stay. When he's needed in service, he'll go. No, I decided I didn't have to envy anyone who wasn't accepted for service. And I was mighty sure the action in my case would be fair and square.
Very likely they'll have you come in some evening and talk your problem through with them personally. Is that all right?
Yes, thanks. That's fair enough.
All right. We're the candidates. And the Minutemen are chosen by a fair and democratic system. But that isn't all. Not yet. Listen.
I'd like some information about enlisting.
Oh, certainly.
Enlisting? It's a democratic system, and you have a choice as to how you'll go in. But who should enlist? I tried to imagine what Bill's case was like. Suppose you've graduated from high school. You don't have any plans for college. No, you want to work. And you want to learn a trade on the job. You've been job hunting since you graduated. Oh, you can get a job all right, but not one with the kind of future you want. It's tough. It doesn't seem very fair. But why should a man start training you when you're such an obvious prospect for service? No, it seems you just aren't going to get your training before you go into service. So you drift along, and you begin to think. Could you get that training in service? Would it help to enlist? Well, find out. You can get information from the recruiting offices and talk it over with other people whose judgment you respect. Then make your own decision. Well, if that's Bill's case, or yours, find out how you can serve your country and yourself the best. If you finish school, maybe enlisting is the answer. Take my case. I was there to register. But I had something else on my mind. College. You see, I had plans all made for college and for work. I figured it was time to take a careful look into the future. Suppose I started college. What then? How long could I be sure to stay? Who knows? It depends on a lot of things. How good my grades are, for one thing. How badly I'm needed in service, for another. But I figure it this way. As long as I'm studying, I'm helping myself. And I'm getting ready to serve even better when the time comes. Suppose I don't get to finish college right away. I'll do it later. Lots of fellows have done it that way. You know, I've got a lot of friends who are deferred to go on to college. A lot of them. They'll be going in later. And they will be able to serve better because of their college training. Some of them are getting military training while they're in college, preparing to qualify as officers on graduation. Serving where you're most needed. That's the idea. Maybe you can't figure out a timetable for your whole life, but you can figure and plan just the same. Miss, can you tell me something about student deferments?
Oh, yes, it's the material over here on the counter. You'll step over there.
See? You find out. You find out just where you fit in the system of selective service and voluntary enlistment. Then you'll be ready for whatever comes in the future. Look, you're young and alert. You can learn fast. You're strong and adaptable. Okay, that makes you a good candidate for service. There's a fair and democratic system for choosing the Minutemen from among the candidates. And you can find out where you fit in that system. Why me? Why you? Because we're the best there is. We can do the job, and it's our job to do.